Hi. January 27th. My whole life, since I was a little girl, I thought of it as my birthday. This is my birthday, January 27th. I celebrate it every single year. In fact, today I got all kinds of emails. Some of my friends don't even know that I have a regular birthday, because this is what counts. Never did I imagine that I would celebrate this year with such a fabulous audience, so many people, such important people. And it's an honor. It's an honor to be there. It's an honor to address you, and I want to thank you to listen to me, because I represent the children. There are very few of us are left. From my town, 4 children survived. So I'm here to talk about those who aren't here, and I'm very honored to speak to this kind of audience that has come from all over the world to mourn, remember, and honor the memory of our people who were so brutally murdered by the Nazis. However, we are also here to proclaim and to pledge that we will never, never, ever allow history to repeat itself. I would like to share some of my memories, because I know that there are many survivors here who are struggling with their own. I was just 6.5 years old when I was liberated from Auschwitz. But my memories are very vivid, thanks to my mother, who constantly validated the events to me as they were happening. When she was with me, she never, ever covered anything up. I remember as a 5.5-year-old child watching from my hiding place in Starchowitz labor camp as all my little friends were rounded up and driven to their deaths, while the heartbreaking cries of their parents fell on deaf ears. After all the children were gone and the courtyard was empty, I thought to myself, am I the only Jewish child left in the world? Shortly thereafter, we were loaded into cattle cars. The men and women were separated. This was the very first time I ever saw my father cry. Up until then, no matter what horrors, no matter what happened to us, we were together, the 3 of us. We were a family. But now, he was sent to Dachau, and my mother and I here to this camp, Auschwitz-Birkenau. Hot, hungry, thirsty, and very terrified, I held on tightly to my mother's hand in the dark cattle car for countless hours, while the cries and the prayers of so many desperate women permeated my soul and haunt me to this day. Finally, we arrived at Auschwitz, a gloomy Sunday with a sky obscured by smoke and a terrible stink hung in the air. And there were rows and rows of naked women all around me. What are they looking for? I asked my mother as I too was naked. And I tried to avoid the gleam of the German shepherd's teeth and their eyes. I was their height, so I can see them completely. I can still see their eyes to this day. My mother answered me, diseases. But if we are ill, she didn't have to finish. She pointed to the smoke right by the entrance. I knew at 5.5 what that meant. We all knew. As I was being beaten mercilessly by a guard for fidgeting, for not being able to stand still for hours at an appel, a roll call, I looked into my mother's eyes. She was standing next to me, silently, and she was pleading with me, don't cry, hold on. And I didn't. I recall thinking, I will never let them know how much they are hurting me. At 5.5, I had the rebellion in me. I will not show them. I will not let them know the pain they're inflicting on me. I am sure that many of you here who are Holocaust survivors have their own memories, and you remember when your entire being rebelled, but you felt powerless, abandoned, so you just had to resign. On an icy, windy day, I stood and watched helplessly as little girls from the nearby barrack were marched away, crying and shivering, to the gas chamber. They were covered with rags, and some of them didn't even have any shoes and were walking barefoot in the snow. They were very young, as I was, 6 or 7, but starvation shrunk their bodies, and they appeared even younger. They too became ashes. Is my barrack next? I silently wondered. I thought that we all have to die, that it was normal. If you're a Jewish child, you have to die. I wasn't even sure what Jewish was, because I never saw any celebrations. But death, child, Jewish, seemed a normal thought. I knew nothing about partisans saving Jews from ghettos and camps. I knew nothing about the 1944 Warsaw Uprising, nor of the Allies and the D-Day, nor of the invasion of Normandy. At that time, We were victims in a moral vacuum. But today, however, we have an obligation, not only to remember, which is very, very important, but also to warn and to teach that hatred only begets more hatred, killing more killing. Instead, our revenge has been to build a strong Jewish country and raise our families in peace. Many of you here, I saw, have your wonderful families with you, just as I do. 80 years after liberation, the world is again in crisis. Our Jewish Christian values have been overshadowed worldwide by prejudice, fear, suspicion, and extremism. And the rampant anti-Semitism that is spreading among the nations is shocking. It's shocking to all of us, to our children and our grandchildren. Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, is fighting for its very existence and its way of life. We mourn not only the fallen soldiers and the hostages, but also the turbulence and mistrust in our society. We pray for strength, resilience, and of course, hope, which has to be part of our daily life. We all of us, must reawaken our collective conscience to transform this violence, anger, hatred, and malignancy that has so powerfully gripped our society into a humane and just world before these terrible, terrible negative forces will destroy us all. It is an enormous task, but our Jewish sages teach us the time is short, the task is great. We may not be able to complete it, but we have an obligation to start. Thank you.